Planer 101. Good morning, Sauk Rapids Rice High School. Planer is a machine that we can use to take a piece of material and decrease its thickness so that you can get it to a desired thickness. The planer is comprised of many major components. One of them is the bed. The bed is either the in-feed or out-feed table. You also have the elevation hand wheel. So this actually raises or lowers the in-feed table. You always want to set the depth gauge to 1/16 less than the thickness of the material that you would like to plane. That way, if you set the depth gauge to the exact thickness of a piece of material, it's not going to cut anything. And we never want to take more than 1/16 of the material at a time because it could damage the machine. So you always want to set the depth gauge, this little pointer right here, to 1/16 less than the thickness of your material until you reach your thickness that you are trying to attain. So you keep on turning this hand wheel every pass, okay? You also have your engage and disengage lever right here. You pull it to engage, and then this part's a little tricky. You got to make sure that you push this button and then disengage it. We'll cover a lot of this a lot more in depth during the actual demonstration in class. But another thing that I wanted to point out is that if you are about to plane a piece of material, you want to make sure that it's level on the in-feed table, and you always want to make sure that you're standing off to the side of the material, not directly behind it. That is a very dangerous area to be because you could have something called a kickback, which is when the material is thrown out of the machine and it could hit you. That's why you always stand to the side of the material that you are planing. Another very important tip is that you want to never put your fingers anywhere near this in-feed table because this is a pinch point. You could get your fingers stuck under this material and it'll keep on moving, okay? You also want to make sure that any loose-fitting clothing is not anywhere near the machine because that could also get drawn into the machine. You want to use something called a tail-off partner when you are using a planer because the piece of material may be very long and you need to make sure that you're supporting it as it's going through the machine. And a tail-off partner is someone that helps you on the outfeed table grab the material and assist you as you move the material through the machine. So one more time, the parts. Elevation hand wheel. That is what raises and lowers the depth gauge. You have your in-feed table, out-feed table, engage lever and disengage. That is what gets the cutter head rotating and the in-feed rolls and out-feed rolls on, off. Notice that the emergency switch is very large so that if you do get an emergency or an accident, you can hit any part of this switch and it'll shut off the machine. And the start button's very small so that we don't accidentally bump that. So that is the planer 101.